Jess, you are live.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the November meeting of the Annapolis Education Commission. Thanks for those of you who are here. We're still waiting for a few more to come in to get to quorum, but thank you also for being flexible with your schedule with the holidays and everything, because always fun in November and December. So we'll wait a second. I'm going to put the agenda, I'm going to pull the agenda up and share that so that we can look at that really quickly. One thing that we are doing tonight is, and hopefully going forward, is I have invited as many of the PTAs contacts as I could find for the Annapolis cluster. So with the hope that we will start having some more participation from our PTAs. So here is the agenda for tonight's meeting. And let's see, Pam, Sheila, Odessa, I saw Corey join. See where everyone is. I know Enid is not able to join us tonight. Laura is planning to join, so she should be here soon.
Laura's coming in right now.
Laura's coming in right now. Great. Thanks, Julian.
Of course.
It is a super busy time, I know, for everyone, particularly those, well, for everyone, but especially if you have students in the school system with the quarter just ending and the new quarter beginning and holidays coming up, and for those with older kids, college applications, and end of sports, beginning of sports. There's a lot going on right now. So I appreciate, and I know everyone work-wise has been super busy as well. So I just appreciate everyone taking the time to be here tonight and making time for education in the cluster. So I think we'll do a call to order. So welcome to the Annapolis Education Commission meeting for November. It's Wednesday, November 20th. We started this at 6:02 p.m. and the agenda is up on the screen for everyone to see. And we'll go and we will do a roll call. So I'm going to do it like we used to do it when we were in person because my memory is really bad. So we'll start with Pam. If you just want to introduce yourself, tell us what your role is on the commission, and we will go and I'll call as I go around the screen.
Okay, my name is Pam Bukowski, and I'm an at-large commissioner.
Okay, and your role, your role and your connection with education in the city.
I'm a retired speech language pathologist. My 6 children attended schools in the Annapolis cluster. My youngest graduated in 2010, and I now have a grandson at Hillsmere Elementary.
Awesome. All right, Joanna.
Hi, I'm Joanna Tobin. I'm a Board of Education representative for District 6, which includes the city of Annapolis, and the very proud parent of a 2020 graduate of Annapolis High.
Awesome. Laura?
Sorry, I couldn't unmute. Laura Booth. I am the Ward 7 representative. I am the parent of a class of 21 graduate, and my daughter is a class of 2028 graduate, or will to be graduate. She's currently a freshman at Annapolis High.
Awesome. Sheila? Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Sorry about that. Sheila Finlayson, Alderwoman here in the city, representing Ward 4. Gosh. former educator, taught in the system for 35 years, former president of the Teachers Association, and I am the city council liaison to this commission.
Excellent. Odessa?
Good evening, Odessa Ellis, at-large commissioner, mother of 3 adult children who graduated from Annapolis High, and that's it.
Excellent. And Corey?
Yes, my name is Corey Mackel. I have a current sophomore and a current senior at Annapolis High. And I'm representative of Ward 6.
All right. Thank you, Corey. And I'm Jess Packler. I am the Ward 8 representative, and I have a senior and a sophomore at Annapolis High School, and a 7th grader at Annapolis Middle, and a 5th grader at Annapolis Elementary, and am involved in various PTA functions at all of those schools. Okay. That's cool, Julian. So tonight, this is the agenda. Do we have any updates or changes to the agenda? Or does someone want to make a motion to approve the agenda, although we don't have a quorum, but we can still make a motion to approve.
Well, I know it is Tola Adatola.
He's not here, but if he shows up.
No, he's out of town.
Oh, okay. He did not tell me that. So we will we'll delete that update. And other than that, are there any other changes? Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve.
Okay. Laura seconds. Is there anyone non-favor of approving the agenda? All right. One thing I want to say before we get on to Dr. Tobin is we need a secretary. I know not a lot of people are on right now, but we really do need a secretary to at very least go through the past ones and then going forward. Corey?
I'm willing to go through the past ones. Well, you know, we had talked about my computer.
Right. I just gave your your computer is being looked at, but I haven't gotten a response yet from him as to what the situation is with it.
Okay.
But I do have another possibility for you. So so Corey has offered to be the secretary and go forward. We're just having she's just having her screen is not working on her computer, so that makes it very hard to do that. But if there's somebody that might be willing to help with the past minutes, and then Corey can do it going forward, because hopefully the computer will be fixed by the next meeting. If there's somebody that's willing to just go through all of our meetings are recorded, so it's online. There are multiple programs that will take transcripts or do meeting summaries of online meetings if you don't feel like listening and creating the minutes from that. But we really do need somebody to do that if possible, please. Or Corey, if you want to do that, well, Corey, if you want to do that for the past meetings, we can talk offline and we can figure out something until we get the computer back. Maybe.
May I ask, is Patrick working on her computer?
I don't know who Patrick is, but no, that's not who's working on her computer.
Okay, he's our IT person, so I thought maybe you had.
No, it's her own personal computer. I reached out to Will Small, actually.
Yeah, if we can find something else out, like I was telling you, I just need to know how it needs to be done, and then I can do it. I can knock it out.
Okay. All right. So we'll figure that out. We'll figure out the technology. And Mark you down going forward as the secretary for meeting minutes and such. Awesome. Thank you, Corey. I appreciate it. I'm sorry that it isn't fixed yet. Okay. We will move on to Joanna. And let me stop sharing the screen. And then all Joanna.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. I will be as brief as I can be, partially because I've got a bad cough and I'll start coughing if I talk too much. So, excuse me. So the two biggest things. First of all, I'm very grateful to have been reelected, so I will be a representative for another 4 years. So
Also, congratulations. That feels like 13 years ago. So I'm sorry.
I know.
To say that.
Just for those who aren't aware, you'll be seeing me for another 4 years. So, and yeah, it was done and I promptly got sick. So, and so a couple of things I just want to alert everyone to. We had a workshop that, excuse me, I was not able to attend Monday night because I was sick, but where Dr. Bedell and his staff presented the proposed scorecard that's going to be put out at regular cycles on the measuring how we're doing on the strategic plan that officially rolled out in July 1st. I put out on my on my social media, and I put it out on the Annapolis High pages and various moms groups and so on, wherever I could, the information which has the link to both the workshop itself, so people who wish to can view it, and information about where it's going to be on the website. Personally, I think it's a very good thing. It's the kind of accountability that I've been pushing for since I was first elected. And so I think this is a great move forward, but I also especially want families, members of the community to attend to this, because it's going to be a way to see what, how we're doing. Are we moving forward? What's the data like? Dr. Bedell was very clear that, we're putting out all the data. Some of it's good, some of it's not. And, that's how we begin to track whether or not what we're doing is working. So I would urge you, if you haven't already, to attend to that. The other thing is the upcoming in December is the December 18th. Excuse me. Which is an sorry, I'm gonna start sucking on one of these.
You can take a
Evening
second.
me.
If you want to just catch up.
I was fine for a while. But on December 18th, Dr. Bedell will be presenting his proposed budget. I always urge people to listen to this. This is going to be a very tough budget year from everything we can see at the state level. And honestly, we have no idea what the federal level is going to look like, and what the county level is going to look like. So it's going to be a difficult year. And I think it's incredibly important that people attend to his full presentation. And then we have several weeks where, as board members, we get to take a big binder home and sit around our holiday decorations and read all those 400 and something pages of budget. And then we come back in January and we have public hearings. And again, it's an opportunity, if there's something you want to advocate for, something you're concerned about, to come and give testimony. You can always contact me, obviously, if you have particular concerns or questions. But we really need the community to be on board. So I hope in your various capacities, in your various wards, you will reach out to your network and make sure that people know this is happening. And we want to make sure we hear all the needs, all the concerns. Obviously, there are a number of things that are top of mind. I'm sure we know special ed is a huge need. We did not get most of the positions we asked for last year. We have been able to pretty much fill what we had. So we need to now make that next ask, but there's a whole host of other things. And there are, of course, all the blueprint requirements, which add a whole other layer of complication. And we also know that during the legislative session this year, there will likely be a number of changes to blueprint, and we don't yet know what that's going to look like. And the final other thing I want to let you know, and as I said, this is a bit last minute because there was a bit of a communication snafu. Tomorrow from 3 to 5, Dr. Bedell and I will be presenting at a work session in front of the City Council. And this is an annual thing we've done now. This will be the 3rd year where we just give a general update and the City Council has an opportunity to ask questions and, engage in whatever, let us know whatever questions or concerns they have. As with all those sessions, I believe it will be broadcast. It will presumably be recorded if you can't watch it live, but I hope you'll have a chance to attend to that. So those are sort of the top things right now. The new board, which is all of us, those who were reelected and those who were elected for the first time, will be sworn in Monday, December 2nd. And our first meeting as a new board will be on December 4th. So, so that's pretty much it for now, and I'm happy to take questions. Thank you. I see Ms. Finlayson's hand.
Yes, thank you. I was going to mention tomorrow's work session, and thank you for mentioning that. It will give the community another opportunity to hear from Dr. Bedell. My question was, do you think he's going to report on the report card tomorrow?
Yeah, I think he'll say, I think he will talk about that. I believe that's in our slide deck. And I'm sorry, because I've been sick the last few days. I'm a little behind on some of this. And we're also going to have, I think, some data we can share about community schools, which is very encouraging and particularly important to the Annapolis cluster because so many of our community schools are in the Annapolis cluster. And so I think there'll be that information, but certainly there will also be an opportunity to ask Dr. Bedell about the report card more generally if you have other questions.
Okay, thank you. See you tomorrow.
Ms. Odessa?
Okay, hi.
Hi.
Well, congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Can you tell me, since there's going to be a big transition on the federal level, what is the role of, if you have time to talk about it or you feel like talking about it, what is the role of the Department of Education on the federal level that interacts with the states?
Well, so it's important to realize that actually a relatively small amount of our funding really does come from the federal level. I think maybe about 16%, something like that. What's more critical is where it is. So Title I funding is federal funding. And we have a lot of Title I schools, for example, in the Annapolis cluster. And, that supports all of the the positions, the extra funding that a principal will have at their disposal, a school will have at their disposal to ensure that the academic needs of students who meet the various criteria that Title I requires are funded. And I've already had emails from Title I teachers who are very concerned. You know, they're wondering what happens if that money goes away. And the short answer is, I don't know. A certain amount, a very small amount, much smaller than it should be, it's one of the great unfunded mandates, of special education funding comes from the federal government. And then there are various grants and there are various other things that do come from the federal government. Now, I should say there's been a lot in the news because supposedly, one of the pieces of the platform that the president-elect ran on includes dismantling the Department of Education. That was created by an act of Congress. It would have to be dismantled by an act of Congress. So there's a lot we don't know. I don't think anybody really knows what is going to happen. But the fact remains that while the amount of funding as a percentage of our entire budget that comes from the federal monies is not huge, it's in critical areas. And we're strapped enough as it is. If the state and or the county had to come up with that money, that I'm not sure that would be feasible. So we shall have to see.
Okay, and the blueprint, you say maybe some cuts to the blueprint?
Well, there may be some changes to the blueprint. I really don't know exactly what they're going to be. You may have heard in the news, the state is facing a deficit. There was a bit of a dispute last year between the House of Delegates and the Senate in the General Assembly about whether or not, and the governor for that matter, about whether or not they were going to present revenue raising mechanisms. The decision, the House of Delegates wanted to do that. The Senate and the governor did not. The Senate and the governor prevailed. So we are going into this session with no revenue raising structure in place and a rather sizable deficit. So it's going to depend, quite frankly, once again, and these are the joys of democracy, on the voters making clear to their representatives what they care about. And if education is what you care about, then you need to be talking to your representatives. And I think I will say, just in my sort of anecdotal conversations with board members in other districts around the state, certainly the bigger districts, it looks to us like the resources being put into community schools are doing their job. They really are showing progress with exactly the populations of students that we need to focus on and need to move further faster. And the supports in community schools seem to be doing what they're meant to do. I think we've hit some really tough roadblocks with pre-K because we just literally don't have the buildings, and the idea of the private-public partnership isn't really feasible for most private providers. So I don't know what the tweaks to pre-K will be. I suspect there will be some. One idea I've heard floated by a couple of people in various parts of the state, and again, this is nothing, official. These are just sort of things people are tossing around, is that, is it a better idea to focus on building out 4-year-old pre-K before we turn to 3-year-old pre-K? So making sure, as the children who need pre-K, all the 4-year-olds are getting it before we turn to 3. And pre-K 3 also is more developmentally challenging in the sense that when you're talking about transportation, when you're talking about lots of other things, you're dealing with such young children. So, these are just a few things, but I have no idea. I mean, this will be up to the state legislators. I suspect that myself, other board members around the state, various people will be testifying. I'm sure Dr. Bedell will be in front of the state legislature. And then, of course, as a particular district, a particular issue of concern to us, something we've been now, this will be our third attempt, our third year. We're also trying to get a bill passed just for this county that would lift the 180-day requirement for school and leave in place the hours, the instructional hours requirement we have, giving us potential flexibility and negating the necessity for the dreaded early release days that, from, in my experience as a parent, what I've heard from other parents, what I've heard from educators, those days kind of fail on both counts. They don't provide good instruction and they don't offer opportunities for the best PD, professional development. So we will also be seeking that change to the law this year. So it'll be an interesting session. And as I'm sure you've heard, the governor has hired consultants to sort of determine what needs to happen for our state if some of the massive changes at the federal level in many areas, not just education, actually happen. So we shall see.
Okay.
Interesting session.
So tomorrow at 3:00, will that meeting be televised? We can watch
Yes.
that on. Okay.
Yes.
All
Yes, it-
right. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Odessa.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Makel?
Hi, I have a question.
Yes.
So how much support would one get from homeschooling?
How do you mean?
Okay, so right now, like both of my kids, they attend Annapolis High.
Mhm.
But with the new things that I'm hearing about Trump, what are things that I can do now or in the future to, like, is there going to be a school or,
Well, so let me be clear that one of the distinctive things in American education is this thing called local control. So schools are all in this country ultimately controlled by a local authority. So as I said, the money we actually get from the federal government is a relatively minor piece of our entire budget. Maryland is, in fact, rather unusual in that our school districts are county-wide school districts. that almost never happens in most school districts in this country are, maybe 1,000 kids, maybe one high school. And we are, well, to give you perspective, so there are over 13,000 school districts in this country. We're the 37th largest school district in the country. So that kind of tells you how big we are. So the control of your child's school will ultimately still rest in the hands of your Board of Education, reporting to the State Department of Education, right? Which is what you have right now, which is why it's important who you elect to your Board of Education, right?
Yes.
So that's not that. So much else would have to change for that to change that I don't think that's going to change. What we're talking about here are some policy and funding changes. We will probably see a reversal of the Title IX changes that the current administration made, the Biden administration made.
Okay, I had to look that up.
Things like that. But the school will continue. Dr. Bedell is here. The board has been elected. We are here. I think overwhelmingly, the folks those of us who are reelected, the newly elected members coming into our Board of Education, are people who are very focused on supporting public education and maintaining the focus that I think we've had over the past 4 years, which is on improving student outcomes. That's our goal. That's what we're here to do. And so we're going to have to navigate some changing tides. But the local, it's called an LEA, the Local Education Authority, which is what the Anne Arundel County Board of Education is, will continue to do its job and will continue to be the governing body for your child's school in AACPS. So I think I can safely say that. So I hope that's helpful.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Corey. Janet?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm sorry I had to join the meeting late and I didn't catch, are you meeting? Is it just you and Dr. Bedell meeting with the city council and mayor tomorrow at 3?
It's a work session.
Work session just like previously.
Just like previously. Yeah, I understand you got a little bit of incorrect information.
Well, we got no notice, and like I knew that this had happened last November, so I reached out to ask if this was happening again.
There was a snafu. I didn't get notice until the weekend, because again, between the election and some other things, it got a little. So apologies for that. Apologies for all of us. But yes, we will be there tomorrow. As always, it will be broadcast. I believe those are recorded as well. So folks can go back and watch. It'll be an update. I believe we'll be talking about the report card, other data, some community school data, and some of the initiatives that we have. And as always, an opportunity for members of the city council and the mayor to ask questions and so forth.
I attended last year after, and that was very useful. I would like to just go on the record for our city to know that this is not a functional way to run an education commission. We need to have much better communication and involvement. We need our city leaders to actually ask questions at these work sessions and be prepared to engage. You know, it's an amazing opportunity that Dr. Bedell and you and his senior staff make the time to come out and interact with our city on the transparencies of what our education system's going through. And I appreciate that transparency, but I have to say on record that our city needs to engage stronger because they did not ask enough questions or did not take the opportunity that was given to them to.
And Janet, I did respond to Kate's email when I found out this evening at the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah, I saw
the
that.
meeting tomorrow. So, you know, and just said that we really need to be, any meetings
Yeah.
regarding
Yeah.
education with the city need to be, you know, we need to be made aware of so that we can, at
In
the
a-
very least, listen in and, you know, have that conversation. So
I will be there. I will be there in person for the work session.
great.
Good. I will, if I can just say, so the first year we came, we got a ton of questions.
Mhm.
And it was a long conversation. And I was told it was one of the most, there was sort of record engagement. I sort of got the feeling last year that we had answered a lot of their questions the previous year. I will be interested to see this year because there are now more questions swirling around both the state budget, what's going on at the federal level, a number of questions about that. And I will make a pitch, as I have before.
Yes, I know you have.
That we need the city, the city council, et cetera, to advocate for our schools as we go into the legislative session. And as we, you know, we're going to be working through these kind of uncharted waters. So I will be talking about that tomorrow.
Joanna, to that point, I think one of the things that we sort of talk about on the side, we discuss it, but we sort of discuss it on the sidelines, or is the inherent inequities that are presented to Annapolis City resident students versus Anne Arundel County or students, because they could be from the city or the county, that attend Annapolis City school buildings in the city versus those buildings that are not in the city. Whether it is childcare, whether it is transportation issues, whether it is access to, you know, mental health services,
etc.
all of those types of things. And I'm wondering, I feel like, and I know tomorrow it's too last minute for tomorrow, although it would be great if we could do this. But if we could get a list of that, because I don't think that you know, when you talk to people in the city council, when you talk to people in the city, generally the answer is, well, it's a school system. And when you talk to people in the school system, the answer is, well, it's the city, right? But in the middle of that gap is all of these students. We were just having this conversation at Eastport Elementary, which does not have enough space. We've been told, you know, we basically can either do clubs or we can do aftercare. And that's not a fair choice to the students of Eastport Elementary, right? You can either have extracurricular activities or you can do aftercare, but you can't do both because there isn't enough space in the school. But then aftercare is provided by by Annapolis Parks and Recs, as opposed to it being provided by the county Parks and Recs. If county Parks and Recs was providing the aftercare in our school buildings, then perhaps there might be ways that they could figure out those things. But because it's a different organization that isn't the county that's coming in, because the city Recs and Parks is not county Recs and Parks, and it's a different organization coming in, they have different rules and they have different MOUs and they have different things. So the city Recs and Parks coming into a school building and doing aftercare is basically the same as another organization, like another outside organization, whereas county doing Recs and Parks in the school building is county Recs and Parks in the county school system have an inherent understanding and relationship, and they're part of the same team and they work together, right? That's one example. And I don't know all the details of that, but I think what we really need to do is to start laying out the differences. A very clear one is that there's an SRO at Annapolis Middle and there is not an SRO at Bates, because Bates is in the city, and Bates is city police department, and Annapolis is in the county, and Annapolis is the county police department, right? So that's a very, you know, very clear differentiation. The way that crisis response responds to city residents is different than the way that they respond to county residents, right? So our students in the city, they get the brunt of that gap. And I don't think that that's discussed enough on the upper levels. We talk about it a lot. I think it's talked a lot about when incidents are occurring, but really, you know, the city and the county and the school system have an obligation to provide equitable services for all Anne Arundel County public school students, regardless of where they live and regardless of where their school is located. And right now, that's not happening. Our Annapolis City schools are not getting the same equitable services, and we're getting disservice because of that, right? And so I hope that that's something, you know, even if you don't have the data tomorrow, like, look, these are the things. I can certainly try to put together a short list just off the top of my head. I'm sure other people, you know, maybe that's something that we can do a little bit later in the meeting, because I know with you're not feeling well, you want to go, but I really feel like that is something that needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed 10 years ago, but it needs to be addressed.
I mean, so my thought, I mean, these conversations about the workability of MOUs and so on go on between Dr. Bedell and the various staff folks. But again, the schools have to work with whoever it is they have to work with in a given jurisdiction, because we're one agency, they're another, and we're trying to sort of put the things together. I suggested, I think, in my comments last year, Janet, I think you were there, you know, that, I mean, I would hope, I always have hoped that there's somewhere on the schedule, and if there isn't, I hope the commission will work on this, that there's some kind of regular moment where the Annapolis Education Commission provides a report to the city council.
Mhm.
And that, I mean, that's why you have, you know, presumably part of what's going on with having a commission. And I think it's at the end of the day, it is, for all the reasons, everything is, it's the people who are the recipients of the services who need to speak to the elected officials who are the providers of those services and say, this is not, you know, so childcare provided by city parks and recs is not what it needs to be. And that's, you know, that's what advocacy, as we all know, looks like, right? And just like
But the thing is that the parents in Anne Arundel County don't have to provide that same level of advocacy. They don't have to say, I want Anne Arundel County Recs and Parks to provide childcare, right? I really feel like it's a top-down thing. It needs to come from you and Dr. Bedell to say to the city, because the city, when we bring it up to them, says it's not our problem. It's a school problem.
oh, well,
Right. So I feel like it needs to come from you and Dr. Bedell to say, look, no, you have to provide this for
well,
these
we have. I mean, my statement to them is, but they are your children, right? So, you know, these are the city's children. But as a governing board member in one agency, that is to some extent as much as I can say, right? I can say that should be the case. But the truth is, I don't control that agency
Right.
any more than I control county recs and parks. And so, you know, at the end of the day, I can't, nor can Dr. Bedell. We can talk, we can partner. I think the relationship is better than it once was, quite frankly. There was not a lot of work between as much as I would have liked to have seen. And I think, frankly, having an elected board makes a difference in that respect. But I think there is a point at which I am not, nor is Dr. Bedell, in a position other than, you know, we have MOUs, we have to work them out, but we're not in a position to tell the city what to do.
Right. Right. And obviously you can't tell them.
Can I say one quick thing? I understand the position you're put in, and I what I appreciate from what Dr. Bedell is doing now is the transparency of looking at, looking at our math scores, looking at things that the Education Division has tried to show the last number of years. But we need an equal amount of transparency from the city asking these questions itself. Because yes, perhaps the city is working behind the scenes to do some programs, the no harm, et cetera, but we need the city to be transparently acting on the low test scores for their students. We need to see what's being done, not just trust us, we're doing something. So that's what I'm asking and hoping for, that we can get to that transparency of discussion, of action, of inclusion of partners. How are we all fixed together? Thank you.
Ms. Finlayson, I think your hand is up. You're muted.
Thank you. I think there needs to be a discussion and a real clarification about the responsibilities of the city government as opposed to the Board of Ed. I mean, you all have heard us say many times that we don't have an education system that we control in the city. That is a county function. We happen to have the Latchkey program because it has developed over the years, and the prior directors of recreation and parks has seen fit to fund it in their budget and thus keeping it. That does not say that we have a responsibility to do that, but we do. So, as we're talking, there is transparency as far as the city is concerned. The problem that you are voicing here is the fact that we're not doing what you would like for us to do as a city. And that is because there are clear barriers between the two agencies. And it does take an MOU if we're going to step into county government or into the Board of Ed as an agency and do anything. There has to be a reciprocal understanding. And most importantly, there's got to be funding that goes along with it. And we don't have a line item in our budget for education because it's not the responsibility of the city. Of course, education is everybody's responsibility because we all vote. So, if there is an interest in funding education in the city, then we need to come up with a mechanism to do that. And I mean a funding mechanism. And I've never heard anyone offer to, and we can't raise our taxes for this purpose without the legislature saying it's okay. So, there are a lot of barriers, but to say that there's not transparency in the city government, there's absolutely transparency. And all of our meetings are televised, all of them. But you're not hearing what you want to hear. And so that becomes a problem. Our work sessions are scheduled. And to be honest with you, we don't always know what the schedule is because the city clerk, so anyone can make a request on the city council for a work session. Alderwoman Pendell Charles happened to make this request. And she told me personally, the date was determined by Dr. Bedell's schedule. And we thought we may have to cancel this one because something else came up that was pretty pressing. But the point is that our work sessions, if you call the city clerk's office, if you look at the website, they're there. The ones that are already scheduled and noted. But there is no lack of transparency. And if you have questions like the ones you're posing now, then we will answer them. There isn't a problem with that if you ask the right person. But if we just sit around and talk about the questions, then of course, there's not going to be the answers that you're seeking. But it's disingenuous to say that we're not being transparent or that we're not doing our share. Okay, because We do what we're supposed to do by city code and county statute. So we should be clear on that. And I can have Hillary come in, or Mr. Lyles, the city attorney, that will help you understand what the roles are.
So I think there's a
Thank you.
difference between asking for funding for education and asking, so you brought up the Latchkey program, but the Latchkey program is not offered in all Annapolis City schools. It's not offered at Georgetown East. It's not offered at Eastport Elementary. It's not offered at multiple other schools, and it's offered inequitably, right? And there's not and this is what I'm talking about. Like, these are the things that we need to drill down on. So there's city services that the county is not allowed to provide in the city of Annapolis. The county is not allowed to provide aftercare in city schools in the city of Annapolis. The county is not allowed to provide an SRO at Bates because it's in the city of Annapolis. So there's these rules, as you were just saying, that inequitably affect students who attend schools in the city of Annapolis because of these rules. It's not like asking the city to fund reading resources, right? It's asking the city to fund things that the county is not allowed to provide because it's within the city of Annapolis, and to make sure that the resources are offered equitably to students both in the city and outside of the city.
Well, you should understand that the county police department handles the SROs in the county. They are in their budget. They schedule, they do all of the allocations for them. The middle school just happens to be in the county. It's that little block there that's in the middle of the city, but it's a county property. And so that's a county police department budget item. In the city, our city police department manages SROs if we have them. And it's the city's budget. So there's not about inequity. It's about whose territory, for lack of a better description, it is. And the county police don't come into the city. The city doesn't go into the county. Of course, when they do work reciprocally. But in the school system, there are certain barriers, certain boundaries that have to be respected. And both the chiefs on both sides recognize that. So it's not about being inequitable in our schools at all. It's about recognizing whose boundaries they are. And, you know, again, you can have the police chief, both of them, come in to help you understand why those barriers exist. But to say it's because to create an inequitable situation is not quite fair or accurate.
So could you request funding for an SRO at Bates?
Yeah, we could put it in our police chief's budget.
Right, I'm asking if you could do that, Sheila, if you could request funding for an SRO at Bates.
I could make the request and as a member of the finance committee, when the police chief comes before us in April to present his budget, absolutely. Absolutely. But we don't control the department heads. They make the decisions for their particular departments. And he will take my request and determine whether he can meet it. And we'll be able to explain whether he can or he can't. But the budget is our priority. And we do have input, considerable input, because that's the major function of the city council. But we do not dictate to the professionals what they should be doing. We can make our requests, make our recommendations, and then we let them use their professional knowledge to make the final decision.
I'm going to jump in here because I really do need to get off, so I apologize. Thanks for the conversation. Thank you, Ms. Finlayson, for your comments. And, you know, you all know where to reach me if you have follow-ups you want to send. And hopefully I'll see a couple of you tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Corey, do you have a question or something you want to say? Thanks. With your hand up. Corey, if you're talking, you're muted. Laura, we'll go to you, and then if Corey comes on, then we can go back to her.
Muting and unmuting seems to be challenging this evening. Yeah, along the same lines, I wanted to ask about crossing guards. I'll ask Sheila, since you're still online. As the last I heard about it, we don't have enough crossing guards across the county, but the city crossing guards, at one point they wanted to raise the pay for city crossing guards to bring them up to the same level as the county so that we could staff all of the crossing guard positions. And I believe that was voted down, which means that in the city, students in the city there aren't enough crossing guards, which means we're pulling city police away from their main areas of responsibility and having them man some of our trickier intersections to get kids to and from school safely. So that would be one question, I think, for the work group tomorrow, maybe to discuss the difference between how the county is handling crossing guards and how the city is handling crossing guards, so that we can do whatever we can to staff the city crossing guards fully, because as last I heard, there were still quite a few empty positions for city crossing guards. I don't know what the level is at the county. I know they were struggling as well, but that would be one. That's another area. I agree that there's no intention to cause inequity. It's just that they're different, and the end result for the students though is inequity. It's not intentional. It's just kind of, I grew up in Pennsylvania and now we live in Maryland, and it's different here than it was there. It's not intentionally inequitable. It's just different. And what we are saying is just, can we figure out a way to, for example, like the aftercare, make it as easy for students in the city, families in the city to sign up for aftercare. I know it used to be a lot more complicated than at the county level. So students who attended schools outside of city limits, the sign up for families was just a whole lot easier. Whereas in the city, you actually had to go in person to Pitt Moyer and pay in cash or something. I mean, it was a lot harder than it needed to be. I think they've changed that. I think we have online registration now. But for things like that, just if we could maybe just look at it from a perspective of, I know the deadlines, the cutoff deadlines were different. Like county would let you sign up basically until the last minute, and I think the city cut it off like a month out. So sometimes parents didn't know if they needed care or not, so hadn't signed up yet. And then by the time they went to sign up in the city, they were told, oh, it's already been cut off. Whereas in the county, that deadline extended up to the start of the school year. Again, I don't think it's any intention to cause inequity. It's just, it ends up being inequitable to families, just in the way that it's working. So I think if we could figure out some ways to do, maybe to have some of the city agencies, specifically for things that impact students, the city agencies could maybe meet with the county agencies in comparable positions to make sure that they are addressing the issues in the same ways.
Let me respond. You mentioned a couple of different things. The crossing guards, I think we did increase their salaries. I could be wrong. I know I voted for it. But even at that, there was a shortage of crossing guards. And the crossing guards are under the police department. They're not under education or the Board of Ed. So tomorrow is not going to be the time to talk about crossing guards. So bring in the police chief to have a question or answer questions about that. Our department brought back retired police officers, and they scoured the community to find crossing guards and still couldn't find enough. And we were all asked to seek out in our wards people who might be willing to serve as crossing guards. And so even with the increase in pay, we couldn't get enough people during the hours that are needed to be crossing guards. That wasn't a deliberate attempt in any form or fashion, but that was a time a product of the times that we're in, where there are lots of vacancies and lots of different positions, and people have a lot of choices. And crossing guards has not been an interest in the community for whatever reason. As far as the Latchkey program, we've changed directors in recreation and parks. And it is true, we were behind the times, and parents did have to go in personally, to register their kids, and the communication was terrible. And we have a new director now, and everything is online. And I would suggest that you invite her to a meeting so that you will have a clear understanding of how, sorry about that, a clear understanding of how that department functions. Because again, that is the Department of Recreation and Parks. That is not an education department system, because we don't have one, but that is a program that Recreation and Parks has decided they want to continue to run. I know for a fact they've cleaned it up, and there's going to be some considerable changes for next year. And maybe if the director comes before you, she'll share with you her vision for some changes that she's going to make in the department. But, these silos are not deliberate attempts for any reason to
Sheila, I
slight
don't think
any child.
no one thinks that. I mean, really, nobody thinks that. We know it's just gaps. There are just gaps. That's all.
Right.
And there are, and no one likes those gaps. And the county agencies and the city agencies and the state agencies do meet. Do they meet enough? Do they collaborate enough? Absolutely not. But there isn't an opportunity when they are asked to come to the table or invited to come to the table when they deny it. So everyone is of interest, and everyone steps up to help solve whatever the problem might be. So, but thank you for those two examples, because there's clarification on both.
Right. And I think, it is because we have a county Recs and Parks, and they do the childcare in the county, just like we have a city Recs and Parks. So, there are multiple agencies at every level. Janet?
You're muted. You're still.
I just wanted to bring up the math scores that we have not been able to make progress on. And I say this, having had discussions with Dr. Bedell, having been the one that founded the robotics program at Hillsmere Elementary. Robotics helps you learn to iteratively fail and continue. And that's kind of the persistence that math needs to keep iteratively failing, working harder at it, figuring out how to do it. I was talking with my hairdresser, who worked in high school and many years to be a helper in the hospital, nurse's aide. She wanted to be a nurse. She did not get to do that because she couldn't pass algebra and algebra 2 in high school. So she could never go on to nursing because she didn't pass that class. And I want to know what we can do to help more of our students. And another one of my son's friends got into the Army only because my son helped him pass algebra 2 to graduate from high school. And so I want to know what we can do to get more of our students achieving better in math, that the scores are telling us they're lacking, and how we get them into the careers that are needed, that they want to do, because they have that access to a passing math score for graduation and for jobs they want. So that's what I'm looking. How do we have not addressed the gap and the poor function overall, even in all racial categories, of our math performance, that I hope we can, City Council and Dr. Bedell can talk about. Thanks.
Sheila, you're muted.
I'm not clear how you see the city having a role in increasing math scores. We have participated in Dr. Vidal's new mentoring program.
Yep.
But I would suggest that we invite the director of mathematics in Anne Arundel County Public Schools and pose that question to her or he, I'm not sure who it is, but pose that question, because that's not a city issue, it's a county issue. And as far as I am aware, it's a nationwide issue. It's not something that's unique to us. Since COVID, kids have their scores in math have significantly declined.
Mhm.
So what is it that the county school system is doing in math to reach those kids?
Mhm.
There are lots of options for assistance by way of mentoring and that kind of thing. I don't know how many of you have stepped up to mentor to get into the program that Dr. Bedell has begun. But mentoring is a great opportunity to help, especially when you bring in people who have significant math aptitudes, who are the scientists and the doctors and the professionals that work in those careers, and team them up with the young people who are struggling.
Have you had an opportunity to do the
So-
mentoring? I'd love to hear more about it. I have not, because I have to mentor 4 children all the time at home. But I was wondering, Alderman Finlayson, if you've been able to participate.
I have signed up and I haven't been trained. I plan to, even though I'm gone 1 week a month to take care of my 100-year-old father. I don't have a young child, but I have an older responsibility. But I will be, and I've already volunteered. And several of my friends, 2 of my physician friends, are mentoring high school students, young ladies, actually. So I know quite a few people who I've encouraged to participate. And I've taken the information back to my organizations and my faith-based community to encourage people to do just this.
Right.
So, and we haven't had a report from Mr. Dillard to see how it's going, but that may be another opportunity
Mhm.
to see if they got actually the 200 mentors they were targeting to get in the first year or 2.
I did speak with him the other day, and he said the program is going really well. But that I would love to, he's on the list of potential people to have come in and speak as well. Odessa, did you have a question?
Yeah, getting back to the crossing guards, Sheila, the city crossing guards is separate from the county, right?
Yes, they're through the respective police department.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. So, I was told by a crossing guard, I mean, that was last year, that the county got raises, but the city crossing guards didn't get raises. So, has that been rectified?
Well, that was what Laura mentioned previously, and I know that came before us. I know I voted for it, and I think the second time around we approved it, but I can't be held to that. But I know that was the interest of the majority of the council. But I can tell you that there's always a discussion about why we're paying for the crossing guards and the county is. Talking about equity. But again, it goes down to which department is financially responsible. And our police department pays for ours, and the county's police department pays for theirs.
Okay.
Right. But I will ask that question, finance, in 2 weeks.
And that is
I'll
something
catch up on that.
we can do as a commission, right? We can start to identify where those gaps are, where we have things that are being provided in the city or county and not in the city, and what we can do, and then what the next steps forward are, right? I think that's our goal, right? Is to find the gaps and then find the resources and work towards providing them, because what we want is to provide the best experience for all of our students. And while education may not be the job of the city. The people being educated are the residents of the city and the students and the youth of the city, and then will eventually be the adults of the city. And, you know, ensuring that they receive the best education possible and the most opportunities, and at the very least, the same opportunities that students in the same school system outside of the city are receiving should be a priority for all of us, I think.
Mhm.
Well, and you're absolutely correct. And that is why this commission was created 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Yeah. So because city residents pay a lower percentage to the county than other county residents, and they pay that tax percentage to the city, there are functions that we are paying taxes to the city for that we are not paying taxes to the county for. And so what, I guess, is it the question of why are crossing guards a responsibility of a police department? Is that the question? Because the taxes are flowing toward the appropriate entity, but that's why our taxes are, you know, the responsibility is on the city police department, because our taxes are flowing to that, and a reduced rate is flowing to the county.
I don't know what you mean by a reduced rate.
If
You
I
pay
am
higher taxes in the city than, because in the
Well,
county,
We pay less to the county.
we pay a lower percentage rate to the county as a city resident. We pay some, you know, I don't know if it's 70% of what full county-
17%. It's 17%, I believe, is the number. Okay.
there's a flat rate, and we as a city resident pay a lower flat rate than someone who is entirely a county resident, because we are paying taxes to the city for certain governmental functions. So I guess it's a question of whether school crossing guards belong in the police department thing. And
Well, and we've had that discussion, and it ended up staying where it is. So, you know, we can bring that up again and have that discussion and bring in the police chief. And, you know, well, I'm not going to speak for him, but ask that question.
Yep. That's good. Thank you.
All right. Odessa, do you have another question?
There. Mhm.
Okay. Corey, did you have a question? Or is your hand just still up? Okay. If we have any PTAs online that want to give any reports about what's happening at their schools, going forward, I have started inviting all PTA leadership from the PTAs in our school system to attend the meetings in the hopes that we can start having a more collaborative discussion with them and hear directly from what's happening at each of the schools. Hopefully going forward, we will hear more from that. But if anyone is attending and would like to give an update, you are welcome to.
Chair, I just want to say, so the two people, if you do want to speak, just accept the invitation to be promoted to a panelist. I see you both keep declining, but if you don't want to speak, then decline away.
And Jess, I did throw some of the things from both the Cougar Chronicle and the Dragon Digest into a slideshow. So I can run through those too.
Okay. Why don't we do that?
Sarah? Sarah just joined.
Excellent. Hi, Sarah. If you want to introduce yourself and then just give a brief update.
And Regina still declined, so I don't think she wants to say anything this time.
Laura, what did you just say? I missed it.
Oh, I have a slide here. Hang on. Let me share my screen. I can get this going. I just had a couple of things out of the
Bates Kruger.
Out of the Cougar Chronicle. Yeah, hang on, my screen.
Sarah, while she's doing that, if you just want to introduce yourself real quick, so that everyone else knows who you are.
All right, go ahead, Sarah.
Hey, hi, I'm Sarah Kennard. I am the new Bates PTA president, and I am not really filling Laura's shoes very well, but I'm doing my best.
She's doing a fabulous job. Don't listen to her, but listen to her.
You're doing better than the Annapolis Middle School president, so I'll tell you that.
No. So what do we have going on? We are currently participating, or we're trying to participate in the National PTA Reflections Art Contest program. We haven't yet had any entries. So, anybody who goes to Bates and would like to express themselves there, please encourage them to enter. What else do we have going on? I don't know what to talk about.
Yeah, and I think both Bates and Annapolis High is participating in Reflections. So if anybody's watching and there are any artists in your community, I know a lot of the elementary schools do. I'm not sure, is Annapolis Middle participating, Jess? In the Reflection?
This current time.
Okay, all right. But if you have an artist who is anywhere in our cluster, check with your school to see, because this is a great program at all levels, and the kids who in your schools, the top entries go on to the county, and then go on to the state, and then go on to the to national. And at the national level, I think they win money. They get, I forget how much I think it was
between
$600
$200 and $800, depending on what you win, right? So it's a nice prize. Plus, you get national recognition of your artwork, your choreography, your music, your photography, whatever it is. It's very nice. And I don't know what else I have going on.
Oh, wait.
Sorry, I'm sitting in a car.
That's okay. She's gonna share.
Second, we've got the bargain basement's coming up at Bates. So anybody, and I think probably AMS is doing it as well, and most of the elementary schools also do something similar. But I know Bates, you can drop off if you're cleaning out your closets, any new or gently used items, you can drop them off in the main office at Bates, and then the kids get to use their Bates bucks or positive, the PBIS incentives to purchase gifts for their family holidays.
Absolutely. We're also accepting donations of anything that we can give to our teachers to celebrate our 12 days of Batesmith. We're looking for things to raffle off to them, because we can't acquire enough things to give every single person something. But and so then the bargain basement, that's coming up, and don't bring things this week if anybody wants to bring anything. And if you're in my neighborhood and you want me to pick stuff up, I'm happy to do that. I'm in Hillsmere. And gosh, I feel like I have more stuff going on and I can't remember anything. Wreaths Across America, we're doing Wreaths Across America. And oh, I see you put a little support Wiley H. Bates Middle School.
And you guys are going to be doing the polar bear plunge also, correct?
Yes.
Yes, but I don't know anything about it, but yes.
Right. Yeah. Annapolis Middle is as well, and Annapolis High. So, Alderman Finlayson. Oh, you're muted.
Ms. Kennard, how many teachers are you looking to provide gifts for?
So we have like 120, but if we can get 12 things, then we can raffle something off on each day. So we'd love to have more than 12. I don't expect we'll get anywhere close to 120, but the more the merrier.
And any types of gifts? I mean, what kinds of things are you looking for?
Sure, any types of gifts. So, I don't know, a gift certificate to Starbucks, a basket with, bath soaps and lotions, or you know, athletic wear or equipment, or I mean, anything really, socks, mugs, anything.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch it. What's your school? Bates?
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. And, you know, I'm really glad that you joined us tonight. And I hope, you know, going forward that you'll come back and, you know, share information from the school, not only about events like that that are going on, but also if there's needs or resources, or if you see, you know, we are here as a commission to advocate for, find resources for, support our schools and our students, you know, within the city, as we've discussed. And so, you know, we want this to be an ongoing conversation. A lot of our schools are going through a lot of change right now. For those of you who have seen Eastport change over the years, for example, our population is now 74% English language learners, which is a, you know, a really big change, and it requires a whole different set of resources and opportunities. And there's just a lot of change happening within all of our different schools, whether it's on the student level, whether it's on the teacher level. So we are here to do what we can do to provide those resources and to advocate for them, and to help identify where there are gaps, as we've discussed. So Pam?
I have something about Hillsmere.
Okay.
Okay. So the PTA is sponsoring a holiday bazaar that will be held during the week of December 9th. And it's an opportunity for every student to do some holiday shopping for their family members, all free of charge. And right now we're looking, well, the PTA is looking for donations, new or like new, toys, household items, jewelry, books, stationery, sporting goods, games, puzzles, arts and crafts supplies, technology accessories. Also shopping bags with handles or new or gently used gift bags. The donations can be dropped off in bins that are located in the lobby and give people a chance to see the new school. And they are requested by November 26th. And rolling donations will be accepted for the week of December 2nd. So
Great.
that's
Thank you, Pam. Sarah?
It made me remember something. We are, as I think Laura said, we're collecting for our similar bargain basement, and we can't accept any soft fabric things. So no clothes, no hats or anything. So I don't know if Hillsmere has the same rules this year in place, but we can only have things that are not clothes or anything, unless they're like brand new in packaging. But
That's great. Thank you. I know that we have more of these updates later on the agenda, but I think we'll just do them now, Laura, since we're talking about it anyway, and then we'll just skip everything and then come back to the rest of the agenda. So if you want to do the spread,
Sure. Hang on one second. I'm bring that back up.
yeah.
My computer is just very late tonight, and I don't know why.
Yep.
The first thing that we wanted to share was to thank K&B True Value and their, who else was on there? The Chop Tank, Evolve Primary Care, Lido Pizza, and Ion Annapolis all sponsored the Cash for Schools program again this year. And they donated $28,217 to local schools, which is absolutely phenomenal. So if anybody's listening and you made a donation at True Value and it was matched, or if you are associated with any of these businesses, thank you for your support of our schools, because this is such a phenomenal program and it does so much for our local schools. So I definitely wanted to give them a shout out and thank them for everyone who participates in this program, because it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's such an awesome opportunity
Yeah.
for our schools, particularly those schools that have problems fundraising other ways. It just really is such an awesome.
Yeah, and it's great because it comes in as just it's a lot of the funds that the schools get, like from the school from the county are set for specific purposes, and this is funds that they can sort of put wherever they need it most. So it's sort of unencumbered funds, which I know is some of the principals have commented that they really appreciate it because it really gives them an ability to say, here's the gap that we don't have any funding for right now, but this is where we need the money, and it allows them to sort of plug it in there right away without having to meet any of the other guidelines the county requires.
Just as
Oops,
a
sorry.
point of
Sorry.
interest, that's okay. I was just going to say, Annapolis Elementary received $1,884. Annapolis High School received $1,694. Annapolis Middle School received $1,819. Bates received $731. Eastport received $2,606. Georgetown East received $2,641. Germantown received $1,558. Hillsmere $1,894. Mills Parole $949. Monarch $1,265. Tyler Heights $2,431, and West Annapolis $747. So it really is, that's a great amount of money for these schools. So thank you to KB True Value for doing what they do.
Yeah. They rock.
They do. All right.
And then there were some things that we had from Annapolis Parks and Rec. They have this is the basketball league for middle school girls, so they are trying to get that going. And they're doing, I think, teams. If you register as a team, they can do by school. So they were trying. I know Bates was trying to get together a girls team, and I'm sure AMS is as well.
Hey Laura, just in case anybody's looking at that graphic, they messed up the URL in their graphic, so sent me revised graphics, but that URL is no good.
Oh, okay.
So I'm happy to. It's like there should be a 189, like /189/recreation park. So I have to look up.
Thank you for letting me know. I think I grabbed this off the Bates Facebook. So, and I'm thinking this information I think is also on the Park and Rec website through the city. If you navigate down through there, there is a link somewhere within there to get to that page as well.
Okay.
All right, and then they also have they have a drop-in volleyball, which will start in December, which looks like a lot of fun. And then they have a futsal clinic for anybody who's interested in soccer as well. So these were things that the city has sent out, but wanted to make sure that anybody watching, if you have students that are interested in some rec league sports, can connect them to these opportunities. And then we have some mobile food pantry dates. The next one coming up would be Friday, December 13th at Annapolis Middle.
Which I will say is also for those who attend Annapolis Middle, that is also the next Dragon Night. We have our monthly Dragon Nights where there are different activities for the students and then opportunities for the parents to network and connect. They're really great opportunities and really great events that I have not been able to attend yet because it's always the same. It has been the same night as the Annapolis High School home football games, but I'm looking forward to attending on the December 13th. But it's so the mobile food pantry though is open to everybody, regardless of whether you're an Annapolis middle school family or
not. And then AACPS is offering free online tutoring for middle school and high school. So if you know a student who is struggling in one of their middle school or high school classes, there is a portal here that they can get through and they can see the schedule of what classes are available. I know I have a high school student and for certain classes that are just tough. So if you have a kid who needs help in one of their classes, that way. Oh, okay, one more. We've got a coat drive. That's Mount Moriah AME in Bay Ridge, winter coat drive for they're collecting coats and then they'll be distributing them on Saturday, December 7th. So if you know families that can use them.
And I
Doesn't
know,
say-
sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, it doesn't say here where. I was looking to see if it said where to drop them off, if you have codes to donate. It's probably maybe call Mount Moriah and see if when drop-offs are.
Right, because that's a distribution event.
Yeah. Oh, here, there's two phone numbers here for the event coordinators. I would contact them if you have codes to donate. I know we probably have some in our closet that nobody's wearing. So
And Mount Moriah is the church on the corner of Forest Hills and Bay Ridge Avenue with the fish fry, not with the barbecue. So that's how you determine. If you're not aware of which church that is, but that's their awesome fish fry, which I love. I also wanted to say Annapolis Middle and Eastport Elementary are also doing holiday shops. Oh yeah, the bargain, like that,
yeah,
the bargain
sorry.
basement thing. That's okay. Bargain basement, holiday shops, and where they will accept used, gently used and new items to put out for the students to purchase for their friends and families for the holidays that are coming up. So, and I just wanted to say that please keep an eye on what's going on with your schools, especially if you're in a community school area, because there are just so many great events that are happening that are community wide, and really just show just the awesomeness that's happening at our schools. And also, shoot, I should have put that one in. On Monday from 9 until 10 a.m., Eastport Elementary is having an open house for any interested prospective students and their parents, really mostly parents because they'll be kindergartners, or if you want to transfer in. But from 9 until 10 and on Monday morning, we are having Monday, November 25th, that's the date. We are having an open house, so please come by, check out the school, learn all about the amazing things happening at Eastport Elementary, and become a part of the awesome Skipjack community. So,
Jess, how is that being advertised to the greater community that's not maybe part of public school yet?
so we're putting it out through Facebook and through the Eastport Civic Association, and there is a banner on the fence with a QR code that people can scan to.
Okay,
and
where are you putting it out on Facebook?
The PTA, I'm not in charge. I'm not a communications person. I'm the parking and volunteer person, but I think it's through. I think they put it out through the PTA page, and then it should have gone into the forum. I'll double check with the committee when I get off when we get off this call, and I'll double check where it's
Great.
going.
Yeah, and if maybe, moms, we've often talked about making the schools more accessible for people to drop in and do a tour, and you guys are actually doing it. And I just want more people to know about it and be able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and we did have some conversations about how to do that at some of the other schools as well. So I hope that that is something that we can get more, we have to, as we've discussed, I just had this conversation yesterday. I become a very unfun person when I'm having coffee with people and somebody mentions the great schools ratings for our schools and how it makes them consider whether they should consider sending their children to these schools. And we just really need to do more to combat it. I'm hoping I know the SELT portion really of things that got really confused and everything, but I think that when it's done correctly and when it's done, it's going to be able to be, and I don't even know what that acronym stands for, but is going to be able to use as an indicator. Obviously it won't help with great schools, right? And great schools is even like more ubiquitous now. I was looking at real estate for a friend of mine yesterday, and you can now filter by great schools ratings. You could show houses that are only between a certain price range and a certain number of bedrooms and a certain great schools rating. So that is really unfortunate when the great schools ratings are so patently
Inaccurate.
false for Annapolis cluster schools and other other schools that have a diversity of people. It isn't even low income. It's just schools with a diversity of people. If you have a school that whatever. I don't need, this is what happens. I become really unfun. I am not a fun person when Great Schools comes up. But anyway, I would like to be more fun in promoting our schools and getting people in and seeing how amazing they are. And I think there's different ways we do that also. Mr. Wisman came and spoke to the Eastport Civic Association meeting last night, which is largely a group of people whose children are long past attending school. But it is a great way to, Mr. Wisman is our new principal at Eastport, who is phenomenal. Very sorry, Jones Elementary, that you lost him, but we're very excited that we got him. And so he's just done amazing things in a short time, and we're really happy that he's there. But, you know, just to be able to reach out to the community at large and say, this is what's happening in our schools, and answer any questions and, you know, that type of thing. So it really is fantastic. I can talk about that for 100 years. Are there any is there any public testimony other than beside the PTAs? Anyone have any public testimonies? I did not receive any written public. Oh, I did receive a written public testimony. I'm going to go into critical issues while I pull up the written public testimony that I received. If I cannot find it, I will send it out. It came during a very busy time in college applications. Are there any critical issues that we need to discuss?
Just a reminder that I think Annapolis High School is still doing the FAFSA night, December 4th. People can put that on their calendars. They had a flyer in English and Spanish, and that was the one being held in the cafeteria where like people bring their financial documents. And I think the counseling department was going to try and help people with individual questions and knowledge of the process and how to fill it out.
They just did one the other night, and it was phenomenal. We went to it on whatever night that was. We went to one the other night, and it was really, really, really great. So I highly recommend if you have any questions at all.
Right. Was the December 4th one geared towards Spanish speaking families, possibly?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that it was
but anyway, that's an opportunity coming up that people need to know about. Because
Miss Brown, if it is your testimony that was emailed, I can either read it out or show it on the screen, or if you wanted to come in and speak about it as well. Miss Brown, that's in the attendees and not as a panelist.
Jen, Jess, she's declined again.
Declined again. Okay, so I'm just going to read this out loud as a public testimony, and then I will also send it out to all of the commissioners as well. But back to the FAFSA thing, if you have any questions about FAFSA, please go to the FAFSA meeting. It's also held in conjunction with AACC, Anne Arundel Community College, and it talks a lot about the different opportunities there and some of the different programs that are available to students. So it really was a phenomenal event. Okay. This public testimony is from Reggian Viola. Hello, I have a 12-year-old son on the autism spectrum, learning disabilities, OCD, and anxiety issues. We live in Anne Arundel County, and school public system has failed my child terrible. We have been fighting with the county for years to get the right school placement for him, which is a non-public school, and we just can't. We are financially and emotionally broke. Our journey has been exhausting and unfair. We just want to give our children the proper education. I feel punished for having a child with special needs. We spent thousands of dollars with schools, doctors, evaluations, therapies, and attorneys to fight the broken school system. We feel helpless. We need help. What the school system is doing to families is brutal and nonsense. Thank you, Reggie. So I'm going to send that out to everybody. And then if there are any comments right now about that, please feel free to comment. One of the things that I learned this week in conjunction with that is that there have been a number of changes made in the special education and behavioral programs within the school system. So from what I understand, although I want to get someone to come and speak to it, but Phoenix is no longer accepting primary grades. And basically some of the programs that were previously offered are no longer being offered. That were sort of like in the middle for special ed and for children with all sorts of different needs on all sorts of levels, are not being offered. There's been sort of a consolidation and a change of how that works. So I think it's important that we try to get a update on that. I just learned about it this week, or I would have had somebody come in this week and talk about it. But if there's anybody that is interested in being the lead on that particular area, I would appreciate if there's a commissioner that might be interested. But I will send that email out to everybody to have and to think about, and also ask again if nobody here online is interested. So, and thank you, Reggie, for speaking out. I know that you are not the only family that is having struggles, and we need to do what we can to make sure that all of our students are receiving the most resources. So thank you. Any other public testimony? Okay. Are there any updates on the commissioner priorities for this year? You know, when we met last month and the month before, we spoke about what our individual priorities for. Are there any updates on what you've identified as your priority that anyone wants to speak about? Okay.
You know, I go to pantries locally, you know, like St. Luke, Heritage Baptist Church. Let me see, I'm trying like some are up the highway on Ritchie Highway. And then I take the food and I take it back to the communities, the low income neighborhoods. There is so much poverty. People don't realize how, I don't see how some of these kids are surviving, to be honest with you. And so I know that there's a great demand in the schools. I don't see how the teachers are. I think they're overwhelmed. They have to be. But I'm just making a statement about the poverty in Annapolis. There's a lot of poverty, and it's a lot going on that I think people don't realize what's going on in these neighborhoods. That's all I have to say.
I would agree. I'm really grateful for people like Donna Johnson, who is out pretty much every morning with breakfast for any kids who walk by, which is like a large portion of Eastport, walks past her place, and she is out there, and same at the end of school. And you know, people like Mr. Fix-a-Flat, who's making sure that kids in Robinwood get bikes for transportation. And you know, there's a lot of people that are doing things on the individual level that are really helpful. Odessa doing that with the food pantries, because again, you know, that's partially why Donna does what she does, because the pantry hours and accessibility is so difficult for so many people that it really helps if, you know, doing that type of thing where you're going in and getting it and taking it back to the community so that people who don't have the opportunity to access the pantries can do so. I know that at Eastport, almost all, I think all of our school events, not only do we serve food either through a partnership with the PTA or the police department or something else, but also the food bank hands out food, you know, fresh vegetables, canned food, all sorts of different things, so that families can take home, you know, quite a bit of food at each of the events, which is a great part of the community schools relationships and partnerships. But there is a lot of poverty, and it really is something.
And you know, the root of it to me, because now I'm servicing a lot of the kids that I knew when I was working at the high school, damn Pampers, but the root of it, to me is that these kids didn't finish school, or if they did finish school, they didn't come out with any type of skills to even pass the military tests and things, So, it's just, yeah, I don't know what to say, but the lack of education, lack of skills, and parents, and the parents of the kids that I know that I had in the school, their parents are dying or suffering from mental illness. It's just, it's just sad. It's just really sad. But I guess we just, like we just have to continue to do the education commission, do what we can do.
Well, and I think part of that mental health part is, and Alderman Finlayson, this is also something for tomorrow for the conversation with Dr. Bedell and Dr. Tobin, at our PTA meeting last night, at Annapolis Middle School. I asked, as Jessica Packler, Board 8 Commissioner, what do we need? Like, what is the need that's sort of greater than what the school system necessarily provides or current, right? Not do we need books or do we need computers, but like what else is out there, and what particularly community and city, and the answer was ubiquitously mental health help. We need mental health. Our families are in mental health crises. Our students are in mental health crises. When parents, as you said, Odessa, are in mental health crises, then that carries through to the children as well, right? Everyone is affected. So I don't know, that's not necessarily currently a function of city government, although we do have that new, the new department, which deals with that somewhat. But, as a whole, is there something the city can do?
Well, if I might, if you recall last year, one of the requests was an increase in the number of social workers in our school system. That wasn't funded, but surely it can be a question that I will pose again. I'm sure Dr. Bedell has not forgotten that need. As a matter of fact, I know for a fact that he has not. But it needs to be highlighted on his agenda. There's no question. But Ms. Ellis raised another important issue, one that I'm involved in, and that is preparing every young person to graduate from high school with an opportunity to be successful. We graduate probably a third of our population who go on to college, and there may be another 10 or 20% that go on into trades or other work opportunities where they can be successful. And then there's probably another 20% of our kids who graduate with absolutely nothing to do when they graduate from high school. They don't have the aptitude to get into the colleges or the programs that they'd like. They don't have the opportunities for trainings and mentorships and those kinds of skill-based opportunities that will allow them to train up for a career. I've had this discussion with Dr. Bedell, and I will continue, because every kid should graduate from our high schools, every high school, with a direct path to being a successful citizen of our community. And I always end by saying, if we don't make sure that happens, they are the ones on the street over on Newtown Drive right now who are doing whatever they need to do to survive.
Exactly.
They probably didn't choose that path, but after high school, they have no choice if they're going to survive to do whatever they can. So there is a void, there is no question. And we need to be working on how we get those kids into the training opportunities that will give them an opportunity. I'm being redundant now, and I apologize, but we have to do better. We have to do better. So that is a question I will continue to ask. And I am planning another trade fair in the spring, because it is in the spring when these kids realize, when their friends are getting excited about going to college or doing other things, that they have nothing to be excited about. They're going to graduate from high school, but they don't have any plans for their future.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the time that we should be seeking them out, because they're easy targets, and channeling them into careers that are not just lucrative careers, but things that they're good at. You know, I always told my students, you need two things to be successful. You need a career that you enjoy, and you need a career that you're good at. I mean, you can go into a job that you like, but if you're not good at it, that's not going to last long, and vice versa. So we need to be channeling young people into what their aptitude will allow and what they're going to enjoy. And that's the challenge. But I think it's one that's surmountable.
If I can be of any help, let me know.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, that's
Definitely.
Alderwoman Finlayson, you're spot on with all of that. And thank you for doing the career fair. And I know some of our students who were floundering for a year or two, a family I knew, finally got in with a car dealership. And the car dealership is like training them how to be a mechanic, how to do oil changes, how to do more and more responsibility. But we've got to keep connecting, and the dealerships and people are looking for willing entry-level people. We've got to keep connecting the kids to something like that that's available to them.
And that's just one career opportunity.
Oh yeah.
You know, the marine building business, construction, you name the profession, and they are looking for people. They are looking for people to train, to get them into their pipelines. So it's easy, but it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but can I say something? You know, when my boys were at Annapolis High School, they had, you know, they got these, what they call tracks or something or another. You either in the IB or whatever. And so my sons had enough credits, and I wanted to put them down in the tech, what's the place? Cat South.
Cat South.
Yeah. And teach them some kind of automotive type skills, you know, but because they were not in that track or whatever you call it, they couldn't take courses like that. And I think that that's an interference, you know, where if the kids got enough credits but they can go on to something else in school, how do you cross over like that?
And maybe that's a good question for tomorrow is, how are we increasing the number of slots available in Cat South for our students to be able to take advantage of?
Well,
excuse me, Sheila.
No,
but
go ahead.
if a student is in IB or something like that, but they want to take a class down at the Cat South, they can't do it, can they? I don't think so.
They cannot, and I'll tell you why. And in 1976, when we opened South River, Cat South opened shortly thereafter. So I am extremely, and my classroom backed up to Cat South for 25 years. I'm very familiar with it. They target their students to come in as freshmen on a part-time summer type program initially, to really assess their skill sets, their aptitude, not their skills, because they develop their skills. But for the next 3 to 4 years, they are training them on an ongoing basis. You can't go into their program in your senior year. It's too late.
Right.
It's a 3-year program, 4-year, if you need that extra year. But they train them so that when they graduate, they are certified in whatever trade they pursued. I mean, I'm going to the same hairdresser 50 years later, and she got her certification there. And now she's on a national board of cosmetology and estheticians and all that good stuff. They do great work, but the capacity is limited. It's one building here and one building in North County, and they kind of focus on different things. North County has an excellent home building program, and likewise an excellent bakery that they actually sell their baked goods to local restaurants in the area. But great programs, limited capability as far as the number that they can accommodate. So it's not like they're just not wanting people, but you know, it's a program.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but can't we, make one of those classes an elective for a child that just want to go there and, learn the parts of a car or
so they
how
do
to
have
change
that
a car?
actually, Odessa, they do have that option now. It has expanded a little bit, and maybe they'll add that onto the list if we can get somebody from Cat South to come and because they have expanded that. And actually the IB program has expanded that. We now do both the diploma program and also the career program. So if you are interested in possibly doing more career focused out of the IB program, you can do that too. Like I know an IB student right now who's taking welding because she wanted to learn welding. So she's an IB student, but she is also in a welding class at Cat South. So they have expanded that, and maybe I will work on trying to get them in to talk about what the opportunities are, because they have taken what we've talked about over the years, and I think expanded that so that you can do more one-offs. Like I just want to learn auto maintenance, for example. Laura, did you want to say something?
Well, I just wanted to comment. One of the pieces of Blueprint that I was excited about was exactly what Sheila was talking about, was that it included job training, so that we're not just saying, congratulations, you've completed our requirements, good luck to you from here on out, that we're actually preparing kids for a job market. I know there's stuff in the pipeline that they have talked about, but I don't know what it looks like in our schools yet. So I know we had talked about getting Dr. Pugh to come back and talk to us about Blueprint, but I think that's something, especially in our cluster, that I would like to learn more about. What exactly does Blueprint allow for this job training, job preparation, and how are we meeting those needs? Another question for tomorrow, Ms. Finlayson, is we talk about, I know like they have that huge job development or workforce development program at the community college, which is awesome. But we need to get our kids from A high to the community college. Like that transportation piece is, again, another area where if we have kids that are here in the city and would benefit, like they want to go up and do a workforce development program at the community college, how do they get there? If we have kids that are doing, especially like seniors that are doing a partial schedule, instead of saying, oh, great, you don't have to go to school, every other day, which blows my mind. I'm like, why aren't we getting these kids, instead of saying, congratulations, you get more leisure time? Why aren't we using that time to get those kids in programs like some workforce development programs up at the community college? Okay, fine. You go to school every day at A high from, until lunch. And then after lunch, we get you on a bus or something and send you up to the community college so that you can get some training there, rather than just saying, okay, you did your 2 classes, get off the campus and good luck. So I think that's definitely a question that I would want to push Dr. Bedell on. And also I think we should maybe get Dr. Pugh to come in and talk about that specifically, because I think she also does I think she came before and she talked to us about the community schools program. But I really want to know more about the job. How are we doing? I have seen more things showing up, like that I don't remember seeing before. Like I know at Bates, for example, they were having they had an apprenticeship night where they talked about apprenticeship programs. But I would like to see what that actually translates to in terms of like, okay, now that if we've got funding for these things, what does that look like for students at A high, and how are we getting them the access, giving them the access to these opportunities?
And I will say that I have noticed a big increase both for my high schoolers and for my middle schoolers on focus on career training. Exactly what we've talked about all these years, and I've been glad to see it. So Annapolis and Bates both offer like job fairs, but at the middle school level, so that they're thinking about it in 7th grade. What might I want to do when I grow up? Or what can I work in when I turn 14, 15, 16, whatever the legal limit is for that particular career, and how can I get involved in that type of thing. This is on the screen is the current classes that Cat South offers, both for 1 semester and full year courses, which is great. And then I also wanted to say, for those who are interested in helping, and I should have included this, Laura, in our thing, but Annapolis High School is doing their mock interviews this week. So if you are interested in doing mock interviews, I will send this link out to everybody because there are still spots available both tomorrow and on Friday. They have a lot of spots available on Friday. You can do a shift or two, which are 10-minute mock interviews, or you can stay for the whole day. But this is a great opportunity to help our students who need to do interviews, whether it's for college or careers or anything else. So I know the schools are really, I can tell you that I have seen a marked difference even between Sam and Henry, sophomore and senior, in terms of talking about and focusing on career preparedness and the opportunities of careers, not just college. So, but this is, I think something good, so that if anyone has time tomorrow, I know that they need people, and I will send this out to our group as a whole.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I agree, Jess. I've seen a lot more my kids are 7 years apart. So between my class of 21 grad and then my now AI freshman, it just seems like there's a lot more, especially at the middle school level, which is awesome because at the middle school level is when they're applying to Cat South. So if they don't know what's available at Cat South or what those possible options are, they may not apply because they don't necessarily know enough. I mean, I know they come in and talk to the classes a little bit, but I think the career nights really give kids a much better understanding of what this career actually entails. And I was excited to see that. I know they didn't have that when my older one went through.
I agree. And also Cat South is open until March 15th, unlike the other magnets, which are already closed. So I will try to see if in January, maybe we can get Cat South to come in, and that way people can.
Can you send me that information, Jess?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. I will send all these.
Now there's an elephant in the room that I won't bring up now. I'll bring it up in the new year.
Okay.
Okay.
Can't wait.
Yeah, I'll wait.
Jess, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Does one have to go through the volunteer fingerprinting clearance in order to be able to do the mock interviews?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I didn't think so either, but because I could possibly do it. But
I mean, I can check with someone, Miss Sims.
can you check, Odessa? That'd be great.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
I don't know. It doesn't say that.
I know they're trying to get people from the business community, so I was assuming you didn't have to have that higher level
It
clearance.
didn't used to be that.
Because it's all supervised in one big room. You're not doing individual.
Right.
Right.
All right. So our last, I know we're at 8:06. Our last thing really quickly is we have our December meeting is scheduled for Christmas. So I don't think that we want to have that meeting. And so I reached out to the city to find out what was available in terms of the 11th, 17th, or 18th. And it looks like I don't know why. I think there was something that was going on the 18th the 18th is the evening. I'm like, I know there was a reason we couldn't do the 18th. 18th is an evening Board of Ed meeting, and it's the budget meeting. So we do not want to conflict with that one. The 17th, which is the Tuesday before, is not good for the city. So I wanted to see what everyone thought about the 11th in terms of hosting, in terms of having our meeting on December 11th.
Go ahead. I will probably be driving back from Mississippi in a U-Haul on that date, so I probably won't likely be able to join.
I will not be able to join, and I don't think India will be able to join either.
I won't be able to join. I have another commitment on the 11th.
Okay. All right. Well, then I will go back to the city and find out what other days are available, and I will put that out in an email, and we will go forward on that. and hopefully figure out a way that isn't Christmas Day or the Board of Ed budget meeting. Does anyone have any other old business or new business that they would like to? Oh, Sheila, I'm sorry. I saw your hand is raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, well, tomorrow's work session is for the city council. It's not a public hearing.
Right.
The mayor may allow the public to speak, but usually it's only the council that has an opportunity to ask questions of the person who's coming. And so I have 3 things specifically that you have recommended that I asked or requested. One has to do with the mental health services and the increase in the number of social workers. The second was just mentioned the transportation to the community college. And the third being an expansion of apprenticeships and skill-based trainings.
And slots at Cat South, possibly related to that?
Well, that's the expansion of the program.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So if that, was there anything else that I didn't record?
Sorry, I was writing that down. Was mental health in there? Mental health resources.
That was the first thing I
Oh,
mentioned.
that's what I thought. I just wanted writing down, and I just wanted to make sure that I was writing.
Alderwoman, if there's any way you can ask about strategies for higher math learning and proficiency in the elementary and middle, like, because if we're not getting our kids tracked in math better, then they're not going to be able to take advantage of some of these opportunities. So what the thought and plan is for increasing our math proficiency and all.
Janet, I think it'll be interesting. I think we've had this conversation a lot recently, and maybe it's worth having somebody come and talk to the math, because what you're seeing right now also is, my seniors year was one of the years where they were in 3rd grade, and the teachers were told that they were no longer allowed to teach math facts. They weren't going to do math facts. So there was this weird era where they were bringing in the quote unquote new math, which is phenomenal. And I love math. Everyone who's ever talked to me about math will tell you that I never could do math until I went to a 2nd grade meeting on the new math. And now I can do math in my head and it's like magic. But for some reason, somebody along the line said, while we're doing that, we're not going to teach math facts. And they were not allowed to teach math facts. And I have a very vivid memory of being in a 3rd grade classroom and having the teacher at back to school night say, I am not allowed to teach you math facts. Here is a thing of flashcards to learn your multiplication facts, because your child needs to learn multiplication facts. I can't teach them, but they need to learn 1 through 12. That's what they have to learn. So what you're seeing right now in high school is the kids who were in that, and that's why they're having such a hard time in algebra, that because the new math, Common Core, whatever you want to call it, the way to do math, has taught them these great ways of addressing math, but they don't have the core facts. But a few years after that, they started bringing back in the math facts. So, right, like Louis in 5th grade, he had to learn math facts. John Thomas had to learn math facts, but Sam and Henry didn't. So I just an interesting point of fact where the kids are right now. You have, if I were to do a quiz right now on multiplication tables in my household, I guarantee my younger 2 would far outshine my older 2 children because of that, which is problematic.
Yeah. So that's interesting, and how that's played out. We've just had a long-term deficit within our city students of proficiency in math, and how do we address that so that our kids can seize these career opportunities?
Sheila?
I think I would like the math coordinator to come and speak.
Great.
Because whether it's math or reading, it has been, in my 30-some years in the system, the desire of the superintendent or the coordinator what program we're using. Whether we were teaching a traditional reading program and I can't even remember the various reading programs that came and went at tremendous cost to the school system. 11 million sticks in my head from one of the new reading programs that only lasted a few years. But it had been, and I said had, past tense, at the direction of a director.
Hmm.
And so I think it would be appropriate to bring the director in and find out what the plan is and how the school system is being guided to reach those kids that were lost during, the period that they were lost.
Great point.
So.
I will put that request out. Does anyone else have anything that they would like to question or put forth? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second.
Odessa, do you have anything you wanted to say before we go?
Not until the new year.
Okay.
I'll wait until the new year.
Wait.
I don't want to spoil your holidays.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Oh, wait. Really important. Congratulations to the Annapolis High School Panthers, which made it to their first football playoffs in, I think, 10 or 11 years and played a phenomenal season. And we had a great group of seniors and a great group all around. So go A-High. A-High.
Hey,
No.
congratulations. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Really.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thanksgiving,
All right.
everyone.